It had taken 5 long years to get to this point. But Harvey Morrow was finally being tried for the murder of Stephen B. Police and prosecutors felt confident. That is, until the defense gave its opening statement, and things took an unexpected turn.
During the opening statement, it was said that the money that Harvey got from Stephen was money that was owed to Harvey in a loan that happened many years ago.
Harvey loaned money to Stephen's father back in the 80s, the defense told the jury. They had a promissory note to prove it.
Hadn't you encountered that along the way?
No, it was part of the trust packet, and the trust, at this point, the numbers I'm getting from the court, we're over 33,000 pages of documentation.
Quite frankly, we missed it.
They'd missed evidence that seemed to show Harvey wasn't stealing from Stephen at all, had no motive to kill him. Suddenly, the whole case against Harvey, fragile to begin with, seemed in danger of falling apart. And amid doubt about the new evidence, the judge declared a mistrial.
I thought, oh my God, he's being set free.
But Harvey wasn't set free. Instead, the state appointed to the case its 3rd prosecutor in 5 years.
This was my first case of this particular type.
Prosecutor John McKinney.
How do you get ready?
Quickly.
His first task, to address that alleged loan between Harvey and Stephen's father, the issue that caused the mistrial. He spoke to Stephen's best friend and heard this.
He said, I know it's a complete fiction. He said, I know it's fraud.
And sure enough, when Prosecutor McKinney took a closer look at that loan document, Stephen's father's signature didn't match. Classic sign of a con job, said the prosecutor.
Even the idea that there had been any sort of relationship between Morrow and Stephen Williams' father was nonsense, right? Bogus. Couldn't have possibly been.
Couldn't have possibly been, and wasn't corroborated by any evidence whatsoever. It's pretty much done.
Now he was ready for the new trial. He showed the jury, check by check, how Harvey drained Stephen's accounts, all $1.7 million, in just 3 years, to dress up a boat that was never going to sail anywhere.
The boat wasn't properly outfitted for a trip around the world. In fact, it was outfitted in such a way that suggests that it was just going to be a showpiece. It was going to be part of his con, part of the image that he liked to sell to people.
Then the prosecutor took the jury through the GPS and cell phone records and explained how that evidence put Stephen and Harvey together on the far side of Catalina Island. After which Stephen vanished and Harvey told conflicting stories about where he supposedly went.
I think the most damning evidence in this regard was the fact that despite having a history of calling Mr. Williams on the telephone over the years that they knew each other, he never called his phone one time after the day the victim went missing.
That didn't mean Harvey killed Stephen, the defense said. Stephen B. was so depressed about losing his career and his father, about getting older, that he killed himself. And the medical examiner testified it was possible Stephen could have shot himself.
What was your opinion of the idea that he might have committed suicide?
I think it was incredulous. I don't think he would have done it.
Still, it was another explanation, and the jury would have to consider it. So now the courtroom waited and whispered, would Harvey take the stand?
I told the investigators that I thought he was going to testify, and they didn't think so. They thought I was crazy.
What made you think he would?
Well, he's a con man, and he likes to talk, and con men think they can talk themselves out of any situation.
He was right. Sure enough, Harvey was confident, self-assured, had answers for almost everything. He didn't steal Stephen's money, he said.
He came up with a story that no one had heard before his testimony.
Which was that Stephen actually owed him his entire inheritance to pay back a whole different loan. This second loan was verbal, said Harvey, done on a handshake. Undocumented, naturally.
But Mr. Morrow thought he could sell it. He is a con man, and he told it with a straight face.
Would jurors believe him? Stephen's friend Sylvia worried.
You know, I was thinking, oh my gosh, what if he cons these people, you know, the way that he conned Stephen?
And perhaps there was reason to worry. The jury stayed out for almost 2 full days.
No, it was a long couple days, I'll tell you that.
And then, finally,
We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Harvey Morrow, guilty of the crime of willful, deliberate, and premeditated first-degree murder of Stephen B. Williams.
Oh my gosh, they're all holding hands, and when they read it, we all started crying and just were so grateful.
and Stephen's many friends poured into the courtroom the day Harvey was sentenced. Doug Johnson read a statement for all of them, things he had to say to Harvey.
For years, he ate his food, lived and worked on what he thought was a common goal, the whole time stealing from him, and ultimately taking what was most precious, his life. You worship a false god, the god of arrogance, ego, and greed. Today, our nightmare ends. Today, yours really begins.
Harvey was sentenced to life without parole. After which his now ex-wife, Debbie, invited us down to the pier, where she took Harvey's fake engagement ring and the other costume jewelry he'd given her. And
I threw them into the water as a tribute to Stephen.
his friends,
Stephen was part of my family. He's part of the family you get to pick. I can open a great bottle of wine and sit there and think about Stephen. The pain fades, the memories are sustained, and that's the part that, that I'll just keep with me forever.
The only way that I can kind of deal with it is I knew that he was eventually going to get on a boat and sail around the world. So I just kind of think of him out there, he's out there somewhere.
out there like the happy-go-lucky free spirit on the radio,
That's a good one.
the man they called Stephen B.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.